Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to another edition of the Merkle Market Update. I'm Lauren Merkle of Merkle Retirement Planning. Today's topic is early retirement right for you. This is where we try to provide information, not only information, but strategy that you can implement, strategy you can use to help improve what it is you're trying to do from a retirement plan standpoint to help improve your retirement vision. And now I know what you're thinking with this topic. Is early retirement right for you? Some of you are thinking, is retirement right for you? There's so many different things, so many different moving parts that goes into retirement, let alone an early retirement. How are we ever going to make this work? What we've seen, really, there's been a trend, an increasing trend over the last 5 years where employers are incentivizing or even forcing people into what's considered an early retirement. What's an early retirement? That is very subjective. I would consider an early retirement as if you are forced to or you choose to retire earlier than what you originally planned. Now, some people would say an early retirement is if you retire prior to 65, because if you retire prior to 65, that means you have not reached your full retirement age for Social Security, and it also means that you are not Medicare eligible. So whatever early retirement means to you, I just categorize it as you're retiring earlier than what you were originally considering. Now, when you retire early, there are some concerns or there are some things that need to be considered. Some of the considerations would be, of course, the income. When you retire, you still need to have some income. So where is the income going to come from? For many retirees, Social Security represents 30 to 40% of their retirement income. Now, there's up to 81 different options that a couple may have when it comes to applying for their Social Security income. So it is complex. There's a lot of factors that go into when you should be taking your Social Security. And I know you've heard the stories. You've heard the stories of, let's take Social Security as soon as we possibly can. Social Security is going broke. It's not going to be there. You're not going to live forever. You might as well take it while you can get it. And then recently, there's been a lot of stories of saying you get an 8% guaranteed rate of return on your lifetime income for every year you delay after your full retirement age. And for many of you, your full retirement age is somewhere between age 66 and 67. So you're getting 8% guarantee every single year on lifetime income up until age 70 from full retirement age. That is powerful, especially considering what the banks are giving us today. If you take a pot of money down to the bank, what are you receiving in return from an interest rate? Very little, practically nothing in a lot of cases. So 8% guarantee backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government, that is a powerful guarantee. So you should wait as long as you possibly can. That's what a lot of people are saying. But with so many different options, up to 81 different options, it's better to do your research and make the customized decision based on what it is you're trying to accomplish. And quite frankly, if you're going to retire early, maybe it does not make the most sense to delay your Social Security benefits all the way up until age 70. And if you're married, maybe it makes more sense to do a combination strategy where one of you takes the Social Security benefit as soon as you possibly can, get some return out of that Social Security investment. And then maybe it makes sense for one of you to maximize your benefit, use it as that survivorship benefit, and use it for an increased income for as long as you're both alive. Whatever strategy works best for you, use that complexity of the Social Security law to your advantage. It's a lot better to have 81 different options than only to have 3 options. If you only had the 3 options that were listed on your Social Security statement, it would be an easier selection, but you may not get as much out of your Social Security investment. For many people, if we add up the monthly payments that you receive from Social Security from the day you start receiving all the way up until the day you pass, for many people, it represents a 7-figure lifetime income. So it is significant. So now it's a matter of what do you do from a Social Security standpoint. Now, retiring early can have an impact on what you would receive from a Social Security standpoint because when they calculate what benefit you're going to receive, they use your top 35 wage earning years. So if you're 60 years old, you get forced into retirement, or you just choose to retire, and you don't have 35 years that you have reported earned wages, then you're going to have some zeros, which will decrease the amount you're going to receive from a Social Security standpoint. Or you remember way back in the 70s when maybe you earned $5,000 or $10,000 for the year, and if you worked when you were 61 or 62 at your peak wage earning years, that's going to replace some of those lower wage earning years, which will have a positive impact on your Social Security payments as well. So those are some things to consider. And what we do with so many different Social Security options is we can't by hand, or we wouldn't want to by hand, go through every single option that you have. So we incorporate technology that allows us to narrow down all of these different options into a handful that make the most sense for our families. And we say, if you use this combination strategy from a Social Security standpoint, this is the short-term impact it has on you and your retirement plan. This is the long-term impact that it has on you and your retirement plan. And then compare that versus if you elect these Social Security options. Here's the short-term, here's the long-term impact, and we just keep going. And then what that enables us to do is to use that Social Security complexity to your advantage, because it becomes very clear then on what is the best option or combination of options that you have available. What is the best options for you to help you accomplish your retirement vision, and to accomplish it with confidence and to accomplish it with certainty. How many times have I heard, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have made this Social Security election. I wish I would have made this long-term care election. It's that planning, that type of analysis that enables people, retirees, to make these permanent decisions now, and 5 years later look back and say, I'm really glad I made that decision. I'm really glad we don't have to second guess that decision that we made. So Social Security is a big consideration. Hand in hand with Social Security, however, is the health care decisions that have to make. And never before has the healthcare decision been so prominent as what it is right now. You go to Sunday morning coffee with your friends, and outside of the pandemic and everything else going on right now, at the top of the list of the conversation is probably going to be healthcare costs, on what it costs you to supply yourself with healthcare, especially if the conversation of an early retirement comes up. So if you're retiring prior to the age of 65, your healthcare cost could be a lot compared to what your overall monthly budget is for everything else it is going to take you to live your retirement vision. If you are going to the open market, you're not using the ACA for subsidies, and you're a married couple, you might be spending $2,500 plus a month every single month for healthcare. There are some other options. There are some Medishare. There's a Medishare program that you can use that involves a quite extensive application process. And then there are some issues around the Medishare that may not be attractive to you, but the benefit is that it can decrease the overall premium substantially that you pay for your healthcare costs. If you qualify for subsidies through the ACA program, that can decrease substantially what your monthly premiums are as well. And the ACA, we do have a number of families who are using the ACA. Those qualifications aren't as strict as what you might think, because it does not take in consideration your actual assets. It takes into consideration your income. And for a household of one or two, then that overall income, the modified adjusted gross income, can be somewhere between $48,000 to $68,000, and you can receive some subsidies through that program. So those are some options that you would consider if you're retiring prior to 65. The other option, and this is a really unpopular, or has been historically a really unpopular option because of its cost, but COBRA. So if you leave your employer, you have qualified health care coverage, then you typically will qualify for a guaranteed 18 months of coverage through your group health plan. Now before, that was seen as an alternative, that was seen as the most expensive option. Now it is a less expensive option than just going to the open market yourself. So you have the Medishare type program, you have the ACA subsidy that you can investigate and see if it works for you. And then you may have COBRA. Those are all options that you would look at in conjunction with just the non-subsidized open market. But that healthcare conundrum is something that you really have to get a grip on prior to making that decision. Now, some of you may be in a position where you don't make the decision is made for you. And this is really the trend that we're seeing now with the pandemic. As businesses have to close, as businesses have to lay off, people are being forced into an early retirement. So you may not have that choice. But the choice could be, instead of just a cold turkey retirement, maybe you go into a phased retirement, where you quit doing what you're doing because you were forced to, but maybe you find some part-time work to subsidize the income necessity, and then you have maybe income coming from Social Security or some other sources, depending upon what it is that you're trying to accomplish and all the different factors that are involved in your situation. But if it's a forced retirement or just a choice, an early retirement by choice, healthcare is one of those things that we definitely need to get a grip on. How are you going to cover your healthcare costs? What is it going to cost you, not only at point of early retirement, but then how do you transition to Medicare at the age of 65? Because as complex as Social Security is, Medicare can be even more complex. And what's even worse is about age 64, maybe age 63 and a half, the phone starts ringing. The phone starts ringing, you got all these people trying to tell you about these supplemental plans, and you get these mailings, these postcards in the mail, and you're trying to sort through what all of this different information means, and now it gets really confusing. So what we do is we really digest the information, assemble the information, digest it, and then apply it to your retirement plan in the most meaningful way based on your factors, based on your circumstances. But having that healthcare and that Medicare transition involved in your plan as a big component of it when you do going through an early retirement is definitely important as you transition. So those are some of the factors to consider. Now here's some of the hidden gems, some of the benefits, and it's all around time. When you've been working, you're going to work 40 plus hours a week, and you're kind of tied to that responsibility. When you retire, whether it's early retirement or not early retirement, now you have more time. You have more time to enjoy the things that you've never had the time to enjoy before, or maybe for a very long time. Get to see the grandkids, spend more time with the family, get to travel more, you get to do all of these things, but also you now have more flexibility on where your income's gonna come from, which means you can't have more flexibility on how much tax or what kind of tax you pay on that income. So if your W-2 wages go away, while taxes are on sale, and right now they are, I think most of us would probably agree that taxes are going to go up in the future. When you retire, that first full year after retirement can be an excellent time to start engaging in Roth conversions. Roth conversions are taking money from the pre-tax accounts and shifting it over to the Roth, where now once it's underneath the Roth, it grows tax-free forever, federally tax-free forever. Now when you shift it over, you pay tax on that amount. That's why you have to be very intentional and very strategic about how you do that. So there needs to be a written plan for these Roth conversions. Not only a written plan for how you're going to do it, how long you're going to do it, but also what is the long-term gain in you doing these Roth conversions, so you can visually see what is the benefit to you. And for some of you, there is not going to be a benefit, which means for some of you, you're not going to want to engage in that type of Roth conversion. But an early retirement may give you a few extra years to convert some more money from the pre-tax to the Roth prior to age 72, where you're mandated to start taking distributions from the pre-tax account. So a little bit more time on your side to engage in Roth conversions can be one of those hidden gems. And then of course the big one, and this is part of the reason that you've worked so long and so hard and been disciplined and saved all these years, is now you have more time for that freedom to enjoy, to do all these things that you want to do. And what will really help you, enable you to enjoy these things and really have confidence about your financial future, your retirement vision long term, is having the whole plan in place that addresses these types of considerations. Where are you going to get the income from? What do you do with the massive amount of options with Social Security? What do you do with the massive amount of options with Medicare? What do you do with healthcare coverage and costs up into the time you transition to Medicare? And then what do you do with all of these other considerations that we haven't talked about on today's Facebook Live. The plan is absolutely essential, and never before, in my opinion, at least within recent history, has the plan been so essential. There's so much uncertainty in this world today. We don't know what's going to happen next week, let alone tomorrow. So you need to be prepared, whether you're forced into an early retirement, or you choose to go into an early retirement, or you choose just to retire based on your original date. You need to be prepared for that time, so you can do it with confidence. You don't have to look back 5 years from now and say, what if? What if I would have made this decision? What if I would have made this decision? And you can go on and enjoy your freedom to your best ability. I hope everybody has a wonderful Tuesday. There is a link on your screen. All you have to do is click on that link. That'll give you access to a complimentary 15-minute retirement checkup with one of our retirement planners. You can talk about some of these considerations or other considerations that you have as you try to make your best retirement vision possible. Hope you all have a great Tuesday. Have a great week. We will see you next week, Tuesday, 9 a.m. on the Merkle Market Update. Have a great week.